Today, I'll show you how to make a drum and bass track using a full breakbeat and instrumentals like a piano and maybe even some vocals.
It feels like the part of me I've always been searching for.
Lately, I've been experimenting with longer samples and some loops when making beats on my Korg Volca Sample, as opposed to just using one-shot samples for every beat. Just note that this is only one way to use longer samples on the Volca. There are a few ways to go about it, especially because the Volca's storage capacity is so small. For this approach, we'll use one of the samples as our main sample and then build the rest of the beat around it. So the Volca sample only allows us to use one bar or measure per memory slot. For our main sample, the drum break is about 174 beats per minute, I believe. Although this sample spans 4 measures, we can get it to play in a single bar on the Volca. This requires just a tiny bit of math, but stay with me. We'll just take 174, divide it by 4, again, 4 measures, and we get 43.5. So for this approach, we're going to put our Volca samples tempo to 43.5. Let's see if I can get it exact, and there it is. First, I'll just show you what happens when I play the sample on the first step. So I'll go into step mode, put the sample on the first step, and let's play it through. As you can hear, all 4 measures of the sample loop through the single bar on the Volca. Now, just to prove my point, let's take the Volca sample's tempo up to 174. See if I can get it exact. Ooh, this is one of the limitations of the Volca, is getting exact measurements here. Here we are, bumping up against one of the Volca's limitations. Getting the exact BPM is a little tough. If anybody knows a way to get to the exact BPM, please let me know in the comments. I'd love to find out. Anyways, we're at about 173.5, not too far off. Hopefully it'll work. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to play the sample, and you'll see that it will loop the very first measure out of the 4 measures on this sample. But once I stop playing it, it will continue to play out the rest of those measures. Let me show you. Here they are, just looping through the very first measure. Sounds okay so far, but when I stop it, we've got 3 more measures to go. All right, let's take it back down to 43.5. Amazing. It seems to be only in the upper BPM ranges that I run into this issue. Weird. Anyways, we've got our breakbeat sample on the first step. So just to be clear, this isn't really a tutorial on chopping samples on the Volca. I think that's a whole other methodology and conversation. This is just one way that I figured out how to use a longer loop. Now that we've got our breakbeat, let's get some ambient keys or something going in here. Very nice electric piano, lo-fi chord progression, but very long, as you can see. I actually don't know what BPM this sample is in, so it's going to be a lot harder to match up with the breakbeat, but sometimes these limitations of the Korg Volca sample is what forces you to get more creative. Let's start by just playing that sample with the breakbeat and see how it sounds. I'll go to step mode. I'll put sample 2 on step 1. Let's give that a listen. Doesn't sound bad, honestly, but I think we can make it fit in time just a little better by speeding it up or slowing it down. I'll hold function. Let's take it up 2 semitones just to start. Sounds okay. I think we can do a little better. Let's try taking it up to 5 semitones. I'll hold function, increase the speed to 5. Let's try that. Nice. I think that sounds pretty good so far. Now we need some bass. So I'm actually cheating in my own tutorial just a bit because I am going to use a one-shot bass sample, only because that's the only kind of sample I have on the Volca at this time. I'll exit step mode and let's find our bass sample. Pretty deep, very lo-fi. So we'll go to step mode and put that on steps 1, 5, 9, 13. Why don't we also put it on step 16? Let's just listen to how that sounds. I think the bass is somewhat in tune with the piano. Kind of hard to tell. Doesn't sound too off. Probably could be better. I'm not going to mess with it too much. But I think we could all agree that just having that one bass note on the 1, the 5, the 9, and the 13 just isn't going to do it. Now, I could try to put the bass note on every step here. And here's what that would sound like. Maybe we can increase the swing. I think that even changing the pitch of that bass note probably wouldn't do any justice to the pattern whatsoever. But I do have a solution that might sound decent. Let's clear these steps, put it back on steps 1, 5, 9, and 13. What I'm going to do is use the looping function. So I'll hold function, click step 11 to turn on looping. And let's give that a listen. Let's turn it down just a bit. It's a little more rhythmic than it was before, but we can take it a little further. Let's pitch up step 5. I'll hold step 5 function. Let's pitch that one up 5 semitones, and I'll do the same for 13. Let's give this one a listen. Doesn't sound bad. To get this to a place where I really want it, I'd have to mess around with it quite a bit, or of course, just get a better bass sample. For now, let's just play around with the high cut frequency because I think it's coming through a little strong on that bass. Let's take that all the way down. Sounds a lot better, I think. Now, let's get some ethereal spoken word samples in there. I think I've got a couple loaded on the Volca. I'll go to slot 4.
It feels like the part of me I've always been searching for.
That'll work. Let's go to slot 5 and grab another one.
It feels like the space where I can go deeper.
So I'm actually not going to put that vocal sample on any of the steps. I'm going to play it in manually during some of the transitions and peaks and valleys of the beat. Let me show you what I mean. I'm going to mute the breakbeat and the bass. So we've just got the piano and the vocal samples muted. Let's loop that piano.
feels like the part of me I've always been searching for.
And then we'll bring in the bass.
The space where I can go deeper.
And now we've got our breakbeat. Sounding good.
It feels like the part of me I've always been searching for. The space where I can go deeper.
Great. We've got a basic but decent sounding beat going so far. What I'll do now is just jam out on it and experiment with some of the parameters of the Volca. I'll mess with the bass, the treble, bringing samples in and out, maybe use the reverse and the reverb features.
It feels like the part of me I've always been searching for. The space where I can go deeper. The space where I can go deeper. It feels like the part of, it feels like the part, it feels like the part, it feels like the part of